Hello, my name is Brian Burnham. This is Module 1, Education Action Research, AEP 803. As you can see, I'm a football coach. I graduated from MTSU. That's a picture of our stadium there on the left. About 25,000 kids. We're located 25 miles outside of Nashville. And I teach at Summit High School. Here's a picture of our logo. We are the Spartans, just kind of like Michigan State. Also located about 25 miles outside of Nashville, but we're in the other direction. Murfreesboro, where MTSU is east of Nashville, and Summit and Spring Hill is south. I've lived in Tennessee since March of 1989. Originally was born in Kansas. Lived in Colorado and Dallas. My mom worked for the federal government. So she got some training along the way in different areas, so we had to travel around while she worked her way up her career ladder. I graduated from MTSU, like I stated, in December of 2003. I majored in special education, mild to moderate disabilities. I'm also certified to teach driver's ed, which we don't have in our county, or I'd be teaching that probably right now. And I've also got certification for personal finance, which I haven't been able to use yet. Finishing up my 19th year of teaching, I've coached for each one of those, minus 2, although I coached for 2 years while I was in college, so I have coached for 19 years, just not 19 consecutive. And I've been fortunate enough to coach in the last 3 state championships here in Tennessee. We are 1-3, or 1-2 in those 3 games, so we've only won 1. This is a picture of, obviously, my big rear end right here. And then here's our home stadium. It's covered up a little bit, and I apologize. Everything else should be clean, but that one is a little covered up. More stuff about me. Have a new girlfriend. Name's Kelsey. That's her right here. Us at the beach. Did a little thing where we set the camera up, and then we kind of walked off in the distance. It's one of my favorite pictures I've actually ever taken. I was pretty proud of that. I have a new dog. I've had him for right at a year. He's a little over a year old. His name is Axel. I am a Cincinnati Bengals fan, so he does have to wear a jersey on game days. School I currently teach at is Summit High School. Like I mentioned, it's located in Thompson Station, Tennessee. Population of the school is about 1,850 kids. It's actually gone up since I started this program. We were about 1,700, so now we're at 1,850. It's projected to be over 2,200 within the next 3 years. We are the 3rd fastest growing county in Tennessee. Our school is made up 83% white, 8% African American, 5% Hispanic, 4% Asian, and then a smattering of Native American and an other. This is a picture of our field. I know it's small, but picture of our field as the sun's going down. It was really pretty one night while we were painting. This is the front of the school. This is Old Sparty, our mascot. And then here's a picture of our field when it's all painted and looks nice. Actually, we're getting turf. They're going to start after graduation, May 25th. So we'll have turf starting next year. It should be striped like this. I think they've approved that it's going to be striped. So dark green, light green, just like this. It'll just be a synthetic surface. All right, so the critical reflections we were asked to show about the resources. And I don't know if I said this earlier, but I've got 2 resources that wouldn't open because of our school Wi-Fi filter. So this is going to be a little bit probably less thorough than I'd like it to be. Hopefully I'm not docked too much for that. But what is action research? The action research process can help you understand what is happening in your classroom and identify changes that improve teaching and learning. Action research can help answer questions you have about the effectiveness of specific instructional strategies, the performance of specific students, and classroom management techniques. Action research gives teachers the benefit of research in the classroom without the obstacles of teachers feeling like they don't have any control, a control group that creates a burden of all students not getting an opportunity to learn. Diversity within a classroom creates difficulty for a control group as well. Basically what that's saying is it's hard to conduct research in your classroom if you don't have a control group because you're not having an effective, gathering of data and if whatever you're doing is making a difference. But with action research, it changes that process a little bit. The four main types of action research: individual, collaborative, school-wide, and then reflection. The goal of action research is a quote from Calhoun stating, "It's differing in purpose, emphasis, and results. Three types of action research allow educators to investigate areas of concern and meet the challenges within their classrooms and schools." The easiest ways or the main steps to implement action research into your classroom is to identify a question, test out a strategy, gather data, and then determine if it works. I think a lot of us probably have done some form of action research. We just didn't realize what it was. I honestly hadn't heard the term action research until I started this class and this module. So I'm pretty excited to be learning, this new material and officially how to do it. What is the difference between action research and traditional research? Well, qualitative research acknowledges the complexity of the classroom learning environment, while quantitative research can help us see that improvements or declines have occurred. It does not help us identify the causes of those improvements or declines. So basically what we're talking about is qualitative research is traditional research, where quantitative research is action research. Action research provides qualitative data that you can use to adjust your curriculum content, delivery, and instructional practices to improve student learning. So you're implementing informed educational hypotheses into your classroom to make you a more effective and better teacher. Common problems associated with action research. School-wide action research may feel messy and uneven, and conflict may arise during the first few cycles. There can be ethical issues, relationship and data boundaries. Is there a breach of trust in what what information you're finding? Can it be, is it valued? Can it be used correctly? Time issues, receiving feedback promptly or in a time frame that's conducive for making decisions to affect the problem areas of the classroom can be a problem. Watching for signs, quote unquote, using your intuition can be problematic because they only show us a partial view of what we're looking for. Sometimes they ignore the perception of students. They give information only about one aspect of the situation. They could mask other aspects of a situation that cannot be easily seen or heard. And they make us overlook information which can be useful to get new understandings of a situation. Okay, my own personal evaluation of my teaching. My current teaching practice is an inclusion setting in the world history classroom. It's predicated on knowledge of my students, co-teaching with my partner in the gen ed classroom, and our ability to function as a team and or unit. Him and I have great rapport together. He's a basketball coach, so we have a lot in common. We relate well to each other. He includes me in all of his planning and procedural tasks within the classroom. Whenever I get the opportunity, I enjoy working with the students directly. I actually got to teach today a little bit, helping them get the correct information down from the notes that they're taking, especially my students with IEPs. I like to make sure that they don't, stress and get bogged down on everything. They just need to make sure they have the information that's important to assessments that we're going to be taking or things that we'll be needing for the class. I like to challenge them to think about life in a different era. History is really fascinating to me. Ask them to think critically about certain historical scenarios to help them formulate understanding of the subject matter that we're trying to teach. The problem is I've only gotten to lecture a couple times in each semester. I'm usually walking around the classroom, making sure the students are on task, taking notes, and are engaged with the topic. Like I said, I did get to contribute today. He does a great job of including me sometimes for partial 4, 5, 6 minute stretches. And today was one of those days. It was really awesome. As an inclusion teacher, it's my job to partner with someone else, help deliver information in the best way possible, and ensure that my students with IEPs are prepared for their assessment, given the accommodations that they receive correctly, and they're keeping up with the pace of the class. Personal and professional critiques. I have to be more apt to use my own evaluation data. My own action research is basically non-existent right now. I do reflect on how classroom sessions go. So I'm thinking about what's taking place in my classroom, but in terms of accomplishing actually solid action research, it's not happening. Not the way we're being taught in this module. I'm hoping to change that moving forward professionally. I have to be willing to develop an action research plan. Prior to this class, this topic was not something I was familiar with. I'm usually so focused on collecting data from my own students with IEPs and students on my caseload that I think it would be extremely difficult to dive into this idea completely, kind of head first without severely adjusting what my current teaching status and or job looks like. But I do admit and I do agree that I have to be better. I have to develop a better balance. Critique and support. Support of students and their success is obviously of the utmost importance to myself. I think if I engage in action research, then my students will ultimately benefit from that research. I'll spend this course learning about action research and hopefully can come away with knowledge and ability to conduct my own and improve my abilities as a teacher and my classroom as a whole. The CLAs 1.2 and then 4.1 through 4.4 are ways that I can improve as a teacher. As stated, I want to spend this course learning as much as I can about action research and any other research we do within the course. I feel dumb that I'm not familiar with this before this, but it's the truth. This is a heck of a way for me to introduce myself to all of you and admit that this is part of my professional existence. But I'm not too prideful to not admit this. Consequently, I want to also show that I'm growth-minded and open to learning something new. Personal statements are listed here. As you can read, I think it's correlated to the standard because it's asking us to synthesize resources, think about our own classrooms and teaching styles, think about the types of data that we could use or would need to collect to perform our action research, and finally determine how we would accomplish that research. Action research focuses on continuous data collection and improvement. It allows us to grow as teachers and students as well as reflect on our findings as we discover them. It will allow our classrooms to be ever-changing, ever-improving if we perform our action research correctly. I think this assignment was relevant because it forced us to learn new information. In my case, it's allowing me to see where I've been wrong all these years. It's also going to allow me to how to properly begin conducting it. I'm very fortunate to be in this class and be learning this material. I'm unfamiliar with this process, but I'm excited to be a part of it. And then my personal reflection, I've kind of already said what I wanted to say, and it's covered up. I apologize. But I do want to add that I'm glad this was the first assignment as it gave me a great opportunity to familiarize myself with some new information, introduce myself to my new classmates, make the presentation that hopefully you guys, along with anybody else, for example, colleagues at school, that I'm able to admit that I'm lacking in an area and I'm not afraid to ask for help. And I hope that continues to be a strong trait of mine. And then here's my references. It's actually 2 pages if you need to hit pause. This one and this one. Thanks, guys.